So first of all, thank you very, very much for participating to this war. It's virtual, so it's a little bit frustrating. Usually at this time of year, as a lot of you know, whether you're a participant like Pierre Piranha or a judge, or Daniel, your guys also are a participant, but Elizabeth has been a judge for years now. Hello?
André, voilà.
There he is. Le voilà.
Le voilà, André. Hi, André. There's going to be a lot of French accent in that Zoom, I tell you. Eh? We're going to need
Alsatian accent too.
So every year, this time of year, we do the true Cassoulet War. And André, Elizabeth, you've been faithful judges, and sometimes we have visitors like Jean Reynaud or Jacques Pépin, and Philippe Bertineau, and guys from France, Christian Constant, and Daniel sends his chef from Boulud every year to be a competitor, and they go against Pierre Landais, and sometimes it's Pierre, and sometimes it's Boulud that wins. Sometimes it's other people, like the popular vote last year was Laetitia from Benoit. But here today, we're here to talk about cassoulet as a very peasant, very simple dish, duck and bean stew. And so because it's such a simple rustic dish, why all of a sudden all these controversies around it and all those battles and those wars? So we're going to see that in the finer points altogether. My father used to say, cassoulet is not a recipe. Cassoulet is a way to argue between villages. So maybe we're going to argue between ourselves. The audience is going to have a poll. So they're gonna tell us as the evening goes. I mean, it's only 1 hour, but they're going to tell us, they're going to ask us questions, and they're going to tell us if they like one thing in particular or another. So I would like to start, and I think it's logical to start with the native of Castelnaudary, because cassoulet was born in Castelnaudary. And Eric, you were born there too, or almost. You spent a lot of your youth there. So can you please tell us how come and what happened in Castelnaudary to create that dish?
Sure. So hello everyone. I'm very happy to see you all, and to see my friends that I haven't seen in a long time, and you, Ariane, as well. I was not born in Castelnaudary. I lived there 2 years. However, it was enough for me to fall in love with the cassoulet as a young kid. And the legend says that during the Middle Age, actually, it was a siege of the city in I think 1355, and it was Le Prince Noir, the Black Prince from England, that invaded part of Europe, and it was around Castelnaudary, and the village decided to put all the food that they had together in the middle of the place of the town, and that was to see what they have to feed the soldiers and to feed themselves, to see if they could fight back the British. And therefore they brought some beans, and they brought some cured meats, and they brought whatever they had in the house, and they cooked a gigantic plate of beans and whatever cured meat and whatever they had. They fed the soldiers. Supposedly they were so well fed that not only they beat the British in Castelnaudary, and they pushed them back to England. That's the legend.
C'est parce qu'il y avait de l'agneau. C'est parce qu'il y avait de l'agneau dans le cassoulet. They were lamb in the cassoulet. That's why.
No, never lamb in the cassoulet. Are you kidding?
So it's another official version. It's so many official versions, right? But one of them is that actually the first cassoulets that came to France were imported in the 7th century by the Arabs, And it was basically a dish made with lamb, like Daniel mentioned, and beans, white beans. And then, for some reason, nobody talked about this origin, but everybody talks about the legend of Castelnaudary, that's for sure.
And so just a little reminder too that before Christopher Columbus, before we discovered America, we had no beans. So our cassoulet was made with fava beans, which was the only beans available in Europe at that time.
But dry fava, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dry fava in the winter, maybe fresh in the spring. You know, my father used to do a fresh fava bean cassoulet. It was really something, hein? Really something.
C'est quoi déjà? J'ai oublié. C'est la même. Hein? Non, c'est autre chose.
We're missing one guest, Tom.
There's people who are telling me that they don't want lamb on their cassoulet.
Yeah, we'll see how many answers.
Oh, we can vote.
And what they're going to say.
We can vote.
Tu dis yes ou tu dis non?
No more.
We put some lamb in.
For you, Andre, yes, lamb?
Yes, we put some lamb shanks in, and I think it goes very well with that.
Yeah, but
there is one dish. There is one dish called pistache. It's made with beans and lamb also, and this is like different than the cassoulet, but they make like in southwest of France also, and it's called pistache.
I know, man.
That's true.
I mean, knowing that the Southwest is at the foothill of the Pyrenees, where they have maybe the biggest region growing lamb there. Cassoulet is not like a fancy dish where you're going to go to your butcher and tell him to give you lamb shank, lamb chop and saddle. So you want to be able to use cheaper cut, and also you're going to cook it 7 hours. I mean, maybe not 7, but 5 or whatever it takes. But lamb, you throw a whole shoulder of lamb in a casserole of cassoulet. I tell you, then it really changed the whole perspective of cassoulet.
Yeah.
With the pig and the duck and the foie gras and the
foie gras.
Oui.
Yeah, le cassoulet à la riche with the foie gras.
Voilà.
3 days to digest.
Not a peasant dish.
No. But Eric said it really well. It started as whatever they had in the houses, and it was a big pot. Here it's called the potluck dinner, and in France it's called cassoulet. But now we have our particularities. And what do you think of tomato paste? Anybody for or against tomato paste?
No.
I am.
I put some tomato, not tomato paste. I put fresh tomato.
Fresh tomato in winter?
I make my own paste.
Sorry.
So,
Hélène?
No tomato. No tomato.
No tomato?
No tomato.
Elizabeth?
But I like the idea like Paula Wolfert style with some dried tomato paste or sun-dried tomato. Yeah, because I think you preserve something and you use it later when it's the winter time, and it adds a little umami to it.
Okay.
Well, for me, I put tomatoes in. I peel the tomatoes, cut them in a few pieces, and put tomatoes in.
Hey, you don't need that much, like few tomatoes, not too strong on a tomato, I guess.
So if you put tomatoes,
Danny, I want to know Danny what he does. Ketchup?
No, I go to Restaurant Danielle.
Boulud for the cassoulet. Hey, Danny, we're gonna cook a cassoulet together. You'll see. You're gonna have tears at the end of the night. Tears coming out. It's gonna be so good.
That won't be the only thing, but I can't wait.
And we'll invite Eric so he can make his cassoulet without the lamb.
I love to come and eat it. I don't want to make it for a while.
Yeah, everybody's for tomato paste. I think
Ariane, you know that the cassoulet with tomato in Castelnaudary, they make fun of it. Supposedly it's It's basically like the Toulouse style cassoulet, which is not the authentic one, according to the people in Castelnaudary.
It's true, and basically, if you feel the tomato, that means you put too much. But and I know it's wrong in the southwest region, you know, towards Orge, toward Toulouse. But when you put a little bit, there is this umami thing that happens when you cook the beans with all that good pork fat and pork meat and a little bit of that tomato, and that helps. I think it does help the beans. A second on the soaking of the beans. Soaking of the beans, yes, no, how long? 1 night, 2 nights, 24 hours?
Yes, 1 night.
1 night.
Yeah, 6 to 7 hours about.
Yeah, because after they start to get like you can't cook them more anymore. The one that they soak too much, they get like
puree.
Yeah, but if you don't soak them at all, then they cannot really cook. They're gonna stay dry and
they're gonna be
al dente. It's not pleasant at all.
The same way when you soak them too much, also they take too much water and it takes longer to cook them after also. So if you like 24 hours, like I think it's too much. 1 night is like 10, 12 hours. It's good.
It's true.
Maybe 3-4 hours also. I think can pass.
I think you go with 5 to 7 hours. You're okay.
Yeah. Or overnight, even overnight.
That's right.
Not much more. Yeah.
I like the idea of going to sleep, putting your beans in the water, and when you wake up, you take them out.
Yeah, the only thing to respect is to make sure that there is plenty of water, because they're going to drink up that water. The last thing you want is dry beans because there was not enough water in there. People don't realize how much the beans are going to take. Any of you have tried with different beans?
Me, I use not the tarbé, but the white cocoa beans from Béarn, which is a little bit of difference.
Yeah,
In fact,
haricot maïs. Right.
Yeah.
My mother used to make with the fresh cocoa beans in the summer, so cassoulet summer and siesta after.
Yeah. Pierre, which beans do you use?
Me, I use the tarbé beans because I think they're one of the best beans ever. They have like a very thin skin. They're like silky. They're very nice when they cook. They don't break down. Some of them they break, but they make like the liaison of the cassoulet. But they're still like they melt in your mouth, and it's like one of the best beans for me for the cassoulet. I have nothing else like except the one for my mom when she make the fresh cocoa beans in the summertime outside on the garden. That's different. They come from the artist one.
The fresh one, yeah. That's incomparable. But then they cook much faster. When Christopher Columbus came back with those beans from South America or Central America, they were just one kind of beans, and then when Hélène, as you said, there is the haricot maïs in Béarn, where they grow on top of the corn stalk. In Castelnaudary, they have their own beans. The lengo is in Carcassonne, haricot tarbé near Tarbes. I mean, there are basically, it was the same bean to begin with, but what happened is terroir. And terroir is something magical that makes things different depending on the weather and the soil and the care of the people. So that's why I'm so chauvinistic about the haricot tarbé. I'm like Pierre, I like that thickness because at one point, half of them are going to burst and make the sauce in the cassoulet, bind everything, but the other half is going to stay whole. So now the biggest controversy, I think, of the evening is smoked or not smoked on the meat. Who wants to do for this?
Not smoked.
Yeah,
not smoked.
L'Alsacien, s'il vous plaît.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't be smoked. But being Alsatian, I'm not against,
I believe you.
Exactly.
I believe you, Andre.
We are not making a choucroute here.
Yeah,
right, right.
but
Yes,
I think it's overpowered the taste of the cassoulet when you put too much smoke inside. And
Yes, well, too much, not too much, but a little smoke doesn't harm.
Yeah.
No?
Elizabeth, what do you think?
well, because I've judged the Cassoulet Wars several times now, and I've tried some classic. I always try pretty much everything, and then I don't know how anybody won any battles after eating cassoulet because it's pretty overwhelming how exhausting it is to eat that much. But I've also tried so many of the alternative, not the classic style. Like you're all talking about the classic style, but so many chefs have made all these very fascinating, not always great, but sometimes really great, different versions. And sometimes they do have smoked meats or other vegetables and stuff in them, and they're surprisingly can be really good too.
Oh, nothing bad. But that's totally different than the cassoulet for me with the smoked meat. So
yeah. It sounds more like a Hungarian bean stew. You know what I mean? But I would say that in part of the pig, part of the pork belly, if I put maybe 10% or 20% of slab bacon, but very light bacon, and then the rest is fresh pork belly, poached, then you get that je ne sais quoi, where, Eric Cassoulet don't have the je ne sais quoi because of the little bit of smoke where you don't know it is there.
That might be like when they used to cook the cassoulet on the top of the fire. That's where you bring the smoke on the cassoulet. That's why it is.
You get this.
The natural of the smoke, yeah, but that's very faint. That's very faint. It's not like a smoked meat.
I feel it.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead, Eric.
No, so the cassoulet in Castelnaudary, they cook it in that terrine, which is made of clay, right? And it's in the inside, it's not varnished, and so it gives a little bit of a flavor to the cassoulet. And they make that big terrine in Luz, which is a town that is about 5 miles from Castelnaudary, and the traditional one is cooked in oven, usually where you have wood burning, like the boulanger oven. And then you have a tiny bit of earthiness from the terrine and some smokiness from the oven, but not coming from the meat.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the pot is probably the most important piece of this equation because it just adds so much. I mean,
I agree on that. Yeah.
Ones in Le Creuset or stub pans.
Is that when?
Not the same.
No. And it's weird, because people are gonna say we're snob about it, but it's true. It's true that the earthenware and the thickness of it is so important in the cooking of the cassoulet, and the fact that it's a little bit burned on the outside and on top, but not too much, just crusty and very melting inside, and that's the pot. That's the
Eric,
pot.
Yours was beautiful. I never tasted, but yours was beautiful, Eric. So I hope we can make one.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it was good too, I have to say, but all of yours looks excellent. So I wish I could test Daniel one and Pierre and everybody else, and Danny and Tom and
next year for enough of those virtual things,
and Hélène as well, and everybody.
We'll do the real one again. I would like to take 5 minutes and this opportunity now that everybody joined us to introduce every one of you briefly. I'm going to start with the ladies. Hélène Darroze, who has this famous eponymous restaurant, who's now Marsan in Paris, and at the Connaught in London, where you just got three Michelin stars. Bravo, bravo.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today, because if I count well, it's 1 o'clock in the morning right now in Paris.
Yes. That's fine.
Elizabeth Faulkner, who's been so faithful and a judge for years at our Cassoulet War, and who has tasted the traditional ones, but also a lot of the very ambitious, revisited, adventurous, occasional very good, but occasional very bad cassoulet in the Cassoulet War, because we have really at the Cassoulet War, the D'Artagnan Cassoulet War, we have 3 winners, and we have the traditional, which is a grand prize really, then the revisited, people who are doing things with different ingredients, and the popular vote with the people who are in the room and who are actually tasting the cassoulet. So thank you, Elizabeth, for being here today. And you actually are the other way around. You're in Los Angeles right now, yes?
Yes.
So 3 hours on the other side. This is very international.
Yes, and now that somebody just mentioned the cassoulet at the different seasons, I think Pierre and maybe Eric, you talked about fava beans and lamb. And I can say that fava beans are coming to the market here in LA already. So I'm going to start making that version of cassoulet soon.
That's early. That's early. Yeah, yeah. And then next on my screen is André Soltner. And André has been at the helm of Le Lutèce, who was the one and only French restaurant for years and years in New York. And you stayed, what, 34, 35 years in that kitchen?
34, yeah.
34 years in the kitchen, not one day off.
No, don't say that. One day of a week, but I didn't miss too many days. That's true.
So André has been our wise man at the judging of the Cassoulet War every year. He's the one where everybody goes to in doubt. You know, when there is something that they cannot define in the cassoulet, they all go to André and say, "Hey, what do you think? What is this? Is this star anise? What did they put in there?" And André always has the answer. And thank you for being so faithful.
I hope we will do a few more years, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. No, I can't wait for the real thing. I mean, I keep saying that, you know, it's fun to have a battle like that on the screen, but it's more fun when you can actually taste the stuff, obviously. Next on the screen, Daniel. Daniel, you are today in a very strange place, and you are drinking Perrier? Seriously?
Well, I heard that Cassoulet War was sponsored by Perrier. No, but I want to say, after a big cassoulet and a lot of good wines, like here, there is the war between Cahors and Beaujolais. And
Not Beaujolais. No, not Beaujolais.
Malbec. A brouillis with my cassoulet, because I'm from Lyon, that's what I drink. A brouillis from Opis de Beaujolais. So, but Perrier is definitely for the digestion. Very important.
So you're in the Bahamas. Are you opening something, or do you have a restaurant there?
I'm in one of the salons, which is the wine cellar salon, but Café Boulud just opened here.
Okay. Looks like a beautiful place.
It's very nice. Very.
All right. And next is Pierre Piranha. Pierre, who was our most frequent winner of the traditional Cassoulet War every year. Pierre used to be in several restaurants. The latest one was Felix, and now you are on your own cooking for private residents. Is that what's happening?
Not too complicated for me, but that's relaxing. But it's very, very nice. But I mean, it's like the restaurant. I'm fast, like all the people I need.
Yeah, but I saw your Instagram. You're hunting now.
Yes, hunting, fishing.
Yeah, I have an idea. Twice a month, you can do 1 week with me and 1 week with Eric.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. A good idea. I can make some cassoulet too.
Of course. In between 2 rugby games.
Yeah, that's almost Friday is the last one.
Yeah.
But
Eric Ripert from Le Bernardin. you just reopened last Wednesday, right?
Yes,
How
last
is it?
Wednesday night.
Yeah, yeah.
And we are very happy to be open. It has been a long year, I have to say.
For sure, for sure. And so far so good, no? You're totally full. I tried to get a table and so far I can't. So I must not know anybody there. I don't know.
It's totally full, but it's not a big achievement. We are at 50% capacity.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah. But more and more people, I saw that they were opening for New York City for people below 50 years old now. So it's opening more and more on the vaccine. It should go fast now. Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And Danny Meyer, who's right there on the screen, like everybody else, like all of us, with the glasses, we're getting to that age. And Danny, you actually opened a Shake Shack today. So thank you very much for taking the time and being with us today. That's very, very nice.
Where?
I think it's in Bryant. It's right across from Bryant Park, and I'm really getting an idea that we should do a cassoulet burger, and I would love to do a collaboration with Danielle because we did one many years ago in Madison Square Park.
We need to officialize that with a real Landais. So we need Pierre and Danielle. Huh?
Let's do it. Let's do it together. That would be so much fun.
That's a very good idea.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
We can sell Cahors by the glass along with it. No Beaujolais.
No, no Beaujolais. Cahors or Madiran. In Gascony, Madiran is the drink of choice because it's Tannat. The grape is Tannat. Danny, as long as we're with you, there is a strong reason why you're here tonight, and it's because I heard you saying well, why don't you say it to us? What are your biggest souvenirs, your biggest memories of cassoulet?
Well, I'll give you the sad one, and I'll give you the happy one.
Okay, okay.
And I'm honored to be with all these amazing chefs right here. Chef Soltner, we go back a long way, and it's really good to see you too. My sad memory was in 1984. This was the year before I opened Union Square Cafe, and I was afraid to tell my parents that I was going to be a restaurateur, but I thought maybe they would accept it if I said, one day I want to be a cook. And so I had done a stage in 2 different restaurants in Bordeaux, one called Chez Dubert, and the maître d'hôtel had told me that his favorite dish was cassoulet, and he knew that when I was done with my stage, I was taking the train to Paris to meet a young lady who was my girlfriend at the time. We've now been married for 33 years. And I was so excited and so nervous because I hadn't seen her. It was her first trip ever to Paris. And he told me about a famous restaurant. I believe it was in the Jardin, not the Tuileries, but the one that's closer to the Rue Saint-Honoré and the Champs-Élysées. And there was some fancy restaurant, and he said, you have to go there to have cassoulet. So I went by myself on the night before I would be going to the airport to pick up Audrey. And I would be getting up at 6 in the morning to be on time to meet the plane. And I went to this restaurant, I hadn't probably shaved or taken a shower for months because I had been in this restaurant in Bordeaux. But I put on a sport coat so they would take me. And nobody told me that the cassoulet was meant for 4 people. So I sat down by myself. I got a half bottle of Cahors, and my mother had always taught me to eat everything on my plate. So I ate every last bean in that pot of cassoulet for 4. And I believe it was the worst night of sleep I've never had. And the next morning I woke up with garlic, and the beans got bigger inside my body all night. And I somehow got to the airport, and Audrey gets off the airplane. We hadn't seen each other for 4 months. And she took one whiff and she said, I don't think I want to be here. So that was the worst experience. The best by far, and this is a restaurant that I go back to. In fact, I can't wait to go back to Paris. It's a very unassuming restaurant. Maybe you've been, called, well, the locals call it Chez Philippe, and it's called Auberge des Cévennes Pyrénées. And it's, just mark that bistro down. It is so good. And the cassoulet, and now instead of eating cassoulet for 4, I eat cassoulet for 1/4, and that's more than enough.
A lot of comments on the chat. People love your story here. This is great. This is great. Hélène, do you have some memories of cassoulet you want to share with us?
Sure. I thought I would surprise you with saying that that the best I had, in fact, was with fava beans. But okay, it's not a surprise anymore. And it was cooked by the best friend of my dad, who is from Castel-Sarrazin. And in France, he's a very famous singer. He was a very famous singer. Now he's a bit old. And his name is Pierre Piranha. I assume you know. Yeah. So he cooked me one with fava beans, and it was excellent. Excellent.
And put lamb inside?
No lamb inside. No lamb. No lamb inside. And if not, one of my best memory also is the one of Christian Constant. I really love in Paris the one of Christian Constant. It's very good. And the bad memory, I'm very honest, and please do not laugh about me, but it was the last one I cooked few days ago for the video of D'Artagnan. I don't know what I did, but I did something which was disgusting, like my daughter say. I don't know, it was too fatty, it was overcooked. I think I soaked the beans too long, and so it was not, it will be a very bad memory for all of us around the table.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, okay, I don't know.
I'm going to reassure 500 or 1,000 people listening that even a great chef can mess up a cassoulet.
Exactly.
And talking about that, there is a very important question that keeps coming back. And so tell me who wants to answer that. What I find hard is to get the crust right without drying the beans. I need some insight because technically a crust is dry, so not sure how it's supposed to be. So I think it's time to talk about the breaking the crust and arrosé, wetting the cassoulet. Who wants to go for that?
Eric?
I can go. Yes, sure.
Okay.
So when the cassoulet has been cooking for quite some time already in the oven, and the fat is going to start to create a crust on top of the beans. And what you need to do at that time, it's with a spatula or spoon, is to break that crust. And you do that 2 or 3 or 4 times, because the more you do it, and the more the liquid evaporates, or if it's dry already, you can add actually some liquid, but the crust becomes thicker and thicker. And when the beans are totally cooked, perfectly cooked, in theory, you have that thick or strong, like hard crust that you can break with your spoon. And that's the idea of the crust on top, to create that consistency on top of the beans that have a soft consistency.
And sometimes I cheat, just to make sure that it's the right consistency inside. I would put a fine, a little bit of a knife in there and see if it's soft inside. If I feel it starts to be a little bit too thick, then I cut the crust again and I add some of that liquid in which the beans have been cooking. Or if I'm out of that, I put a little demi-glace and duck fat. I mix it and I put it in there, and that will add for the crust too. There are a very good friend and mentor, Zizou Dufour, who was my daughter's godfather. I think he made the best cassoulet in the world, and he had 2 secrets. And the one first secret is that he actually broke the crust 7 times. 7 times. So you cannot overcook cassoulet 7 times. That means that he cooked for a very long time. He cut the crust, add liquid, wait until the crust reintegrated 7 times. And he's
tarbé beans also.
Yeah, of course, with the tarbé because they hold.
What temperature are you cooking at?
Very high, equivalent of 400 here.
Yeah.
The only thing is if you're too close, you might want to put some aluminum paper at the beginning so that it doesn't crust immediately, it doesn't burn on top. But the second thing it taught me, which to me was very, very important, is that, and I think, Pierre, you do some kind of a thing like that, but a little different. But what he did, he told me to put a little duck fat in the bottom of the casserole, and with garlic confit, take garlic confit and spread the duck fat all around inside the casserole. And that will help the outside of the beans to cook evenly and to get the flavor. So that was my bit about Zizou du Four and which hello little girl, which bring another very, very big topic, but first somebody asked, hey Pierre, where can I get this t-shirt? Can you show your t-shirt? Look at that. Where did you get it? People
Somebody they offer me by Jean-Louis Dumonet, my president of Maître Cuisinier de France, who decided I deserve one like this.
So
I don't know where you get it. I will find out.
Okay, Elizabeth?
Pardon me. I have another suggestion for people cooking cassoulet at home. It really is that earthenware. It helps the crust also, I think, and also like using the demi-glace or a really good stock that has enough gelatin is also part of the equation there in making a good crust. Because if you just use like a chicken stock or some other stock from the store, it doesn't have enough gelatin in it.
It's true. It's true.
Well, you make like a stock at the beginning with the pig feet and the shank, and that's why you're gonna cook the cassoulet at the end. But that's what I learned with one of old chef that was knowing very well, Andre.
Tom, stay here. Stop.
I'm coming. I'm back.
All right. Hey.
I'm so sorry I'm late. It's my son's 10th birthday, and so we're celebrating. We just did a family Zoom.
I'll forgive. We've seen Daniel's kids already on the camera. They are with him in the Bahamas. But Tom, you're arriving at the perfect time because we were just going to talk about breadcrumbs or no breadcrumbs. So hey, go for it. Go for it. Tell us your secret.
No breadcrumbs. Wait, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Hold on, because I need a prop here. Hold on.
Well,
if you cut the crust properly, you don't need breadcrumbs.
No, but excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No breadcrumbs, but pork crumbs are acceptable. See, that's acceptable. Look at that. So pork crumbs. This is look at that, pork crumbs. See, that's good. Yeah.
That's a very good idea. If I were to put crumbs on top, that's the ones I would put for sure.
Of course.
Sure. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I would like to say, to the defense of the breadcrumbs or no breadcrumbs, if you're cooking cassoulet at home and you have the time of your life to make your crust, of course, you don't put a bread. But if you're in a bistro and you're gonna make your cassoulet, warm it up at the order, and you got to send it within 30 minutes or 45 minutes to an hour, you better figure it out how you're gonna make your crust, because you're not gonna dip it 7 times.
And yeah,
so
pork crumbs.
Wow.
Tom, do you own that
Tom
company?
has the answer.
Ariane, you have to make it with duck fat. Duck crumbs.
Duck crumbs. Yeah, let's try that and let's do a blind tasting at the next Cassoulet War for real. Yeah,
Funny
yeah,
day.
yeah. Very good
I think
idea.
with all the leftover skin of ducks,
yeah,
who can be cooked, you poach them long enough, then you dry them, and then you fry them, and then you make crust. That could be very good.
Actually, when we make duck fat, cracklings are a natural leftover. It's a byproduct of the duck fat, you know. It's and so that we could, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
It sounds like a new product line, or duck crumbs. Yeah,
that's why we
royalties all around. It's my,
hey,
it's my
Tom, you came in the right time.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And I think Danny is getting some ideas. He's gonna want to sprinkle it on the burger.
yeah.
Well, they have this in the south. They make like the bread with the pork, the duck. What do you call it? Les fritons.
Les fritons, voilà.
Those would be great sprinkled over some French fries, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Or instead of the French fries, the cracklings are so. No, I mean they are.
I think the last time I have a bread like this, it was next to Perpignan, so not too far from you, Eric.
Yeah.
There is a question that popped up. When was the last time that you made cassoulet for friends, not in your restaurant? Who wants to answer that?
I make it once or twice a year for friends because it's a great dish to make for friends. So I made it. Actually, I made it this last fall. I made it for friends. Yeah.
André, the Alsatian in the group?
Well, I give you a story. I am not a specialist of that, but once James Beard called me and said, André, I want you to make a cassoulet for 8 people. I said, are you talking of choucroute? He said, no, cassoulet. I said, okay, we will try it. And I did the best I could because I'm not from there. I'm not from the Southwest, you know. And when he left, he said, André, it's the best cassoulet I ever had because he was a nice guy, you know. I know that he didn't say really the truth, but I think it came out pretty good. And I put a crust on, yes. But I didn't break it 7 times because I didn't know then how to do it.
Yeah. Any story that starts with James Beard called me too is worth listening to.
Okay.
Amazing. But you know who was making an amazing cassoulet in New York before our generation? It was Jean-Jacques Rachou.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
oh yes.
I had the first time I had a cassoulet in New York was in 1981 at Jean-Jacques restaurant in La Côte Basque.
La Côte Basque, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jean-Jacques and me, we have the same mentor. We work with the same chef. We work with Marcelin Pujol in Cognac, and that's why we get like some story together. That's why.
I see. I love it.
Yeah.
I hope he's listening.
Yeah, I hope he is too. He was a judge. He's been a judge a couple of times.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So that brings another question. What is the one cassoulet ingredient or cassoulet technique that makes it really a no-no, that makes it bad? I mean, what are the things not to do at any cost?
Microgreens.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. Before the Zoom, we had slides and photos, and there was one that Elizabeth was judging last year or 2 years ago, and that had green stuff on top. I don't know if it was pistachio or if it was but it was green on top, and it's so unappetizing. It's so that I cringe every time I saw that photo. We had to take it off. It was not possible. It was really not possible.
It was like pistachio breadcrumb.
pistachio breadcrumbs. Yeah.
Well, I do have a question for all the chefs, which is that obviously there is a way to take something and make it even better and stay as classic as possible. But my question is, have any of you ever had a variation, either in France or in America, that took a twist on cassoulet that you actually enjoyed?
Oh, Danny, you forget. If you go back to the 3-star review that Ruth Rudshall wrote for Gramercy Tavern, lobster cassoulet was featured in that review.
Ah. Eh bien, dis donc. Were you using tarbay beans?
Maybe, I don't know.
I bet Eric could do a pretty good job of that too.
Sure.
Hey, I have to try.
Just take Tom recipe. Just take Tom recipe. Easy.
Yeah. A little monkfish sausage in there.
Yeah. Just lobster stock and beans and lobster roe over the top, and cook lobster.
I guess nice. Maybe a little bit of tomato paste.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, we do get that. We do get at the Cassoulet War. We do get some seafood cassoulet once in a while, and they are very good. I don't know if technically you can call them cassoulet. That's the thing, But
my father used to, at the end, when the cassoulet, after 3 days you eat cassoulet, used to warm it up on the fire and put some cheese on it. So that's happened, but it was not that bad. I tell you that.
Yeah.
No, man, I tell you, I'm sure that in the Southwest, if there is not a competition, but if there is somebody judging your work, they're gonna want to make it authentic. Otherwise, they're very resourceful. They're gonna enjoy it the way they want.
Yeah, it's like getting judged on barbecue down south. It's like one way. Yeah. So I think one thing that I think, it's kind of nice, but I think it's somewhat gilding a lily, and that's truffles on a cassoulet.
Yes, why not?
Like, it's nice, but is it necessary?
I try it. It's good.
Yeah.
It cannot be bad. I mean, it cannot be bad. But is it, again, what is it cassoulet? Is it meant for that kind of a dish? I'm not sure. I really am not sure.
I make it like 3 years ago, like this, with the sausage, with the pig feet sausage with the truffle inside. So.
But that's different. That's a sausage that is with truffle. But put truffle in top. First of all, I like black truffles. I like when they are cooked.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Well, I mean, Ariane, when we did your party, you remember we had the cauldron of duck stock with how many truffles in there?
I know.
By the way, it was fantastic.
You took the Pébert family, you took the basket with the 20 kilos of truffles, and you kept putting them in the pot of feu. I mean, that was unbelievable.
I assumed they were there to cook.
So
one second.
So talking about ingredients, I understand I mean, we can talk about that, but what are the right ingredients, the good ingredients to put on top, without being over the top? And I think several of you have added either pig's feet or pork skin to the cooking of the beans. And that adds a lot of flavor, and that adds a lot of collagen. That's very important in there. But another question is about goose. Why not goose? And I have nothing about goose. I mean, it's easier to find duck confit, but if you can put your hands on goose, why not? What do you think?
Absolutely. The goose is a bit dry compared to the duck.
Dry for me.
But as a confit.
It's a bit tougher and dry, despite the fact that you confit. In my opinion, the goose is a bit too dry. The duck is much more tender.
Okay. Hélène, what do you say?
I mean, I'm the same than Eric. I don't like goose. It's too dry. I prefer duck. It's more tasty. Yes, the goose is too dry, definitively.
Okay. There is a question for Daniel from Oli. Daniel, as a fellow Lyonnais, is there a Lyon twist on cassoulet?
Yeah, drink Beaujolais.
Oh.
No, But you know, we have, of course, the saucisson de Lyon, and the saucisson, the saucisson de Lyon, but the cervelat, So you can have the cervelat nature, or you can have the cervelat truffé or pistache, and with pistachio or truffle. But I think the cervelat is a good sausage in the cassoulet as well. You poach it first, then you slice it, and you put it in. So I would say if there was one thing I will add to the cassoulet is the cervelat. And maybe we do the gratin, les gratons à Lyon, which is basically fried pork fat. And it's the pork fat from the pork belly. The pork belly has around it has this skin, which is made of, it's not a layer of fat, but it's kind of a little bit of a lace of fat. And that lace of fat, you make the gratin with it also. And so I will take some of the gratin and chop it up and put it on top. That'll be good. That's it. Otherwise, no.
Well, also,
you're,
Daniel,
you're just copying Tom's idea.
You can get a lot of those stagiaires that you have working for you to tornade a potato the size of a bean and cook that and put it all together.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you need 100.
Yeah. Hey, stick to your lobster cassoulet. It's much better. Don't try to figure out how in Lyon we're gonna do, but it's true. And I remember, for example, you know, risotto. Everybody thinks it's done with rice, but Michel Richard made a risotto with potato.
Yes,
I think that was amazing because the idea of using something starchy and a texture which maybe not like rice, but still get that unique risotto, you know, experience. And so, yeah, why not? Cassoulet with potatoes instead of beans.
But there was in your video, Tom, there were two things that really amazed me and that I think are going to keep with me. The first one was that pork panko, because I think it's a brilliant idea. And Eric, you are right. We should do it with duck immediately, working on it as we speak. But the second thing, Tom, that you did really, really great is cooking the beans in a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, accelerating the system, and that actually even accentuates the flavors because it's all enclosed. And so if you have the right ingredients, the pork feet and the ventrèche in there, a little bit of demi-glace, you don't need much to make it very flavorful. Which brings, please don't put too much salt or any salt at all. I personally don't salt my cassoulet at all.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
At all?
Yeah, because the confit, the fresh, the pork belly and all that will bring salt.
Yeah.
How do you call it?
But the pork belly wasn't salted. The pork belly was raw.
Oh,
you can have raw, you can have cured. You can have cured.
It wasn't cured.
Ventrèche is cured. Ventrèche is cured. So it is a little bit salty.
A little bit, but it's not like, you know, cured as much as pancetta is.
Yeah.
What is
similar?
How do you call coin? Le coin in French, in English. What is the translation?
I think it's pig skin, no? Pig skin?
No, it's basically the skin is the skin of the belly. It's pork belly skin. Les coins.
Yeah, so the coin, they use in Castelnaudary, they use the coin and they are cured in salt. Yeah. And therefore, you don't have to add salt because in between the confit and the coin and everything else,
that's
you have the salt.
You know, I would like to say that I would have never known how to cook a good cassoulet if that wasn't for Christian Constant. And of course, he put coin inside his cassoulet and he put lamb in his cassoulet. And but Constant is Toulousain. Montauban, voilà.
Wasn't that the Show Me the Money movie? What movie was that? Show Me the Money, where it was about the Quan? Is that the same Quan we're talking about? No,
I don't know.
What movie was
Show
that?
Me the Money.
Show Me the Money. What movie was that? Right, and he was about the Quan.
I have a bean question for all the chefs here. Do you cook your beans to the point that they are very, very soft, or do you like to keep a little pop in them?
So you know, beans are the only ones that have two cooking. Eh? You cook them first, and then you assemble and cook them after with all the meats. So personally, I like to cook them just right, so that they are not al dente anymore. They are cooked before you assemble everything.
Yeah.
Because it's not gonna hurt if you have the right quality beans, those haricots tarbé we were talking about, and you soak them just overnight, no more. It's not going, again, the magic of that beans to me is that half of them are going to burst to mingle and make the sauce, and half of them are going to stay whole.
Right.
And that's the goal of I think, of a good cassoulet.
Totally.
No, I'm not a fan of soaking beans overnight. And there's a reason for it. I mean, I just planted my garden today with beans and I soaked them overnight. And you soak them overnight because it causes them to start to germinate. And I think if you soak them overnight, you run the risk of them splitting, because they start to germinate. And once they germinate, you get...
No, the fresh ones, yeah. But when you have dry beans that are from last spring, you need to soak them. You need to soak them. Otherwise, we went through the, hey, you're late, okay? You're late. We went through this.
Put them in the pressure cooker. No, you don't soak them.
And you put a lot of sugar,
well, one thing for sure, never salt your beans before you cook them, for sure.
Yeah.
That
we can all agree.
Hélène,
yes.
What do you put in your cassoulet? You put pig's feet or you put pork skin?
The pork skin.
Pork skin.
Just at the bottom of the dish, in fact. Just at the I put pork skin,
So you line the bottom of the dish,
And I put confit pork, and after duck and sausage.
But it's funny, the recipe, because like Andre is here and we can talk about bake-off. And bake-off, if you don't put any feet in a bake-off, you don't get that gelatinous sauce. Huh? Andre, talk to us about the effect of...
From the bake-off to the cassoulet, there is a long way to do, huh?
The cassoulet is the same principle.
Well, if you don't have the terrine, then forget the bake-off. But the bake-off is cooked for a long time too, you know.
Hélène, where in Paris, when you want to eat a good cassoulet, where do you go?
Go to Christian Constant.
Constant.
Yeah.
Constant. Yeah.
In Rue Saint-Dominique. And we have a question, Elizabeth, in Los Angeles, where do you go for a good cassoulet in Los Angeles?
Well, that's a good question. I just moved from New York to Los Angeles last summer, so I haven't been to a lot of restaurants in this year.
Maybe Petit Trois.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. He could do it.
Ludo?
Good.
I should ask him.
Ludo?
I made one myself recently, for the relay. And but all of this talk about all this, different versions and hamburgers from Danny Myers with cassoulet and all these different styles makes me just want to make a pizza with cassoulet things on top.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, in LA, you get like a vegan cassoulet, right?
And then you have the famous cassoulet.
Cassoulet a long time ago.
And then you have the famous cassoulet sushi, of course, in Los Angeles. So a question for Tom. Hey, Tom, has someone ever made cassoulet on Top Chef? I don't recall seeing one, but I haven't watched all the seasons.
Yeah.
No, the answer is absolutely not. I've never seen one.
Okay.
It's funny. Three times chefs have tried to make a foie gras torchon. And 3 times they failed. And I always ask them, how long does it take to make a torchon? 3 days. Then why are you trying to do it in 24 hours? I don't know, chef. No idea, chef. Did you think you could pull this off? No. Why did you do it? I don't know, chef. Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
But I'm sure that
torchon, I understand. But cassoulet, maybe you should bring Top Chef to the Cassoulet War next year, to the real one.
I like it.
Yeah, that you have 32 chefs lined up right there and 32 cassoulet to judge right there.
Okay.
So another question, should cassoulet have onions or not? Who wants to answer that?
Of course.
I think so.
Yes. Yes, onion, yes. Onion and garlic.
Yes,
And
garlic.
lots of
A lot
garlic.
of garlic.
Onion planted
Lot of
with, do you plant cloves in your half an onion? You do?
But you really have 2 times onions. First,
Right,
you
yes.
have onions when you cook the beans, right?
Voila.
And then you put the second time onions on chopped onions.
Sure.
I don't put the second time. I put only the half onion with the cloves
No.
in the beans.
No, I do a real fine mirepoix of carrot, celery, onion, leek. Sweat that, add the tomato paste, and then add the beans.
But that's for your first cooking of the beans.
No,
right?
no, second cooking of the beans.
You put carrots in your cassoulet?
Very, yeah, a little bit. Just
Me too.
Oh, really?
Me too.
Yeah,
so
me
small
too,
you don't
me
see them.
too.
Yeah, but only when you cook the beans.
No,
After you
I do
cook the garlic.
I do it
Oh,
after.
no, no,
Again,
no.
I do a fine dice, fine mirepoix of carrot, celery, onion, and leek. Sweat that, and you don't even see it. It's in some little bit of tomato paste and some herbs.
We need 2 experts there. We need Hélène and Pierre to tell us carrots or no carrots on the second cuisson, not the first. The first, we have carrot.
No,
Me
I
have
don't,
carrot.
I
Me
don't
have
do
carrot,
carrots
I got.
in second cuisson. I don't, no.
Me have
I
the carrots.
keep the carrots of the first cuisson. I put
Yeah,
them
on the
with the
first,
beans.
Yeah, me too.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, so why not the second one? If you do it the first time, why not the second time?
Yeah,
Not
that's
the
right.
same.
It's a bean stew. It's not a carrot stew. It's a bean
No,
stew.
a little bit of carrot just to give some you
Yeah,
know,
carrot is
background
good.
flavor. Just some aromatics. Come on,
But I never heard of leeks, Tom.
it's use
That's the
onion. Why
first
not
time I
leek?
hear
Same thing.
leeks in the cassoulet.
Yeah.
No. It's too strong. Too strong. No.
Strong, stronger than an onion leek.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Okay. Which part of France is that? This is fun.
From Craig Sellers, tell me about what makes a bad cassoulet. Things to avoid. I would say leek is one. Anything to avoid in a cassoulet?
I've had
Filet-
so
filet
many.
mignon.
There was some over there. To get last that with one we get like a chef fennels on the top. I guess I see so many cassoulet on the cassoulet war. There's like a
Yeah.
even like some spice like they don't belong to there or cinnamon or something like this. I was like, oh,
Weird stuff. Elizabeth, you were saying something.
I was gonna sort of say something similar about I've tried so many of the reinvented ones, but I don't like the ones with black beans.
Black beans, oh no.
Yeah.
That's more like the Caribbean style. Cassoulet.
But
Mexican cassoulet.
why? What is so different? What is so different about the black beans than the tarbé or the lengo?
Well, it's just, I mean, the texture is just always, it's just, I don't know,
And that's why the mistake is to make sure you don't use the wrong beans. And for example, I love these American beans, and a lot of Italian beans too are fantastic to do a lot of things with it. But try to make a cassoulet with it, and you get a puree of beans in a pot. But black beans don't have, I think, the right starch for it. Yeah. Or composition.
We're at the hour, so we're going to conclude this very interesting debate. Maybe one last question, and maybe all of us can chip in on this one. Do you ever cover the dish when cooking for any amount of the cooking time?
Never.
No, you need the evaporation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, if I use 3 days instead of 2 days, in other words, if I cook the beans and I start cooking the second day, and then I reheat the third day, then that second day, I will put a cover just to ensure that it doesn't dry up. But then I'll make damn sure on the third cooking, you know, the night off, that it really dries and form the crust properly.
You know what I like? What I like is to take parchment paper and you measure, you fold it, and then you measure a disc over your pot. You measure the size of your pot, you tear the paper, you put you don't even have to put fat. You just push that parchment paper in the middle, you make a little hole, and you push that parchment paper over the beans, and you can almost get the first crust just with the parchment paper, because it will just give the right balance of evaporation.
Yeah, it'll still crust over. You're still going to get the heat, but it won't dry out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just an insurance so that they don't burn totally. Right. Yeah.
I think you can adjust the oven at one point also, so you can you can load down when you get the crust. You just keep it like a load on the oven. That's it, and it still keep cooking.
I have a question for all the chefs and Frenchies here. What is your favorite salad accompaniment to a cassoulet? What kind of salad?
Salad.
Say that again, Hélène?
No, I don't know. I'm thinking about it because I never put salad for the cassoulet.
Yeah.
But,
No.
Like if you were going to serve a salad with it. Oh, but that's the only thing you could really
Oh,
serve.
you serve it after, but you like a frisée with a. Can you
Like
put
a
like a
Enough
frisée?
acidity. Yeah, something light and with enough acidity to cut a little bit on the richness of the cassoulet, but not too much either. You know, you want to stay on that good, unctuous.
A nice leek salad. A nice leek salad would be perfect.
Yeah. Whatever help the digestion.
Thank you very, very much, all of you, and especially you, Hélène. It's now close to 2 o'clock in the morning, no?
Oh my God.
Thank you very much. That was so nice. This is recorded, so if you have any regrets or want to change anything, we have the video. And see you all, I really hope, in real, not virtual, next year at the real Cassoulet War. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Bye. Bonsoir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.